Do we have faces, Josh? We have faces, everybody. Welcome to the pre-show for Trending, everybody. We'll be live with the rest of the country in about 4 minutes' time. But for now, it's just you and I to longingly look into one another's eyes and remember all the things we love about each other. Welcome along. Another week of fun-filled escapades. And, of course, you know what makes any escapade more fun? Josh Beatty.
Woohoo! I'm just a little...
Sound convinced?
Well, I was giving you side-eye, but the camera wouldn't have picked up on it.
That's a shame.
During the just sit here and look
That's
lovingly into each other's eyes. I'm married.
There's follow-up jokes that could be made about that, but we're not doing it because we are a responsible journalistic enterprise. I found, by the way, for that last story...
what it's about?
Well, I found a trailer for said thing, but I thought, you know what's even more fun? We'll read through the comments that have been posted on that video.
Right.
Because it's better than the actual trailer. So, yeah, we'll do that. We're talking about movies, by the way. There's a couple of movies we're going to talk about today. Otherwise, there might be some international politics.
Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Guess which story that is. Mind you, I think you'll be surprised by where it falls in the rankings.
Because what is this show, by the way, Andrew?
Well, this show really is about things that make you go, Isn't that interesting? So, of course, looking at the news stories that are the most popular, or maybe should be more popular than they are, based on things like Google searches, or even every news service really provides a kind of a ranking of what's popular right now. Incidentally, you're also invited to hang out with us after the show, after the main radio show. We're going to stick around for a few minutes as well and just kind of get your thoughts on stuff and things. So hope you can do that as well. Extend your lunch break for 15 minutes. Be good for you. Excuse me, I'm going to cough, but I'm going to turn off the mic. And we're back. Yeah, what else is on your mind, Josh?
No Bible group tonight. No Bible study, sadly. It's no small group.
Why is that?
The person who hosts is sick.
Right.
And then other people have also found themselves with other things to do.
Right. So they're kind of the linchpin. And if they're not in, then nobody else is in.
Yeah. Oh, well, we also have, we could use the time to, I
just remembered I'd rather be anywhere else in the world. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
No specific call out to anybody. But if you're watching.
You know who you are.
You know who you are.
And you are not a good person.
Did not say that.
You thought it.
No?
Yeah, you did. I can tell.
Shush.
I can see Josh's searing disapproval simmering behind the eyes.
Stop
like
speaking
a roiling sea of madness. Okay. What are we now? About a minute away. A minute away. How exciting. This is going to be fun too because Josh, usually we kind of select these ones together, but the finer points of this show were put together by Josh Beatty.
This is true.
So I'm going to be discovering some of these as you are. Which is going to be a good time.
This is going to become the new format, isn't it?
No, I don't know. I quite like finding these stories as well.
Depends how well it goes. If you're great at reactions.
100%. Mate, I know how to set up a co-host, mate. Don't you worry. I know how to make your selections look incredible, even if they're terrible.
Even if they
hurt my very soul. And with that in mind, guys, we're going to switch over to live for the radio broadcast, but stay right where you are. Keep your comments coming through as well on the old chats, and let's join the rest of Aotearoa, shall we?
Live on air and online, Trending with Andrew Curtis.
No mai, hi to mai, everybody. Welcome to Trending on this, the 5th of March, 2025. What has been going on in the world? My goodness. There was one story in particular that if you're an avid fan of the show, I'm sure you saw pop up and you thought, that's got to be in the rankings this week. And you are right, but you will be shocked where it lands. Which story is that, of course? Well, that's where the showman in me kicks in. We'll get to that in just a while. But it does fit into our overall picture of the show. If this is your first time with us today, welcome. If you're on the radio broadcast, listening, maybe even via the new Rima Media app. But of course, you can also, unlike every other show, watch it as well. And to tell you more about that, I welcome producer Josh Beatty.
Good to be here, Andrew. Excuse me. Yes, by the way, if you want to be watching, not just listening to Trending, head to either Life FM. I'm still in appeal mode from the Life FM support drive over there.
Big shout out, by the way, to Josh, because he is in appeal mode for our sister station, but he still wanted to be a part of this today.
Amen.
So round of applause from us to you.
Rima.co.nz is what I meant to say, where you can find, of course, the social media links for both Facebook and YouTube. We're live on both of those platforms. If you are watching right now, we would love a comment below. Hey, where are you watching from? How's your day going? What do you expect will be trending? Or, of course, if you are listening the traditional way, 8168 with the keyword Rima still works.
That's right. And put in other words, it's really trying to find
Things that make you go,
It's the unofficial theme song for Trending. Things that make you go, I wonder why that story was so popular. I wonder why it wasn't more popular. This and many more, of course, to talk about today. So once again, thank you so much for joining us on the stream, on the radio. We do want to hear your thoughts and comments, as Josh has mentioned. So with all that said, let's get underway with our first story of the week.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
So the first story, this is where we take a look at what's going on international news services. And when you're making Justin Trudeau look good, you know you might have made a mistake. We're heading to Al Jazeera for this one. And Al Jazeera's number one story right now is Justin Trudeau calling Donald Trump dumb. Now, it's not for the reason that you might immediately think of what happened over the weekend just gone. It's something that happened earlier today, but before we dissect it and get your thoughts, let's see what Mr. Trudeau had to say himself.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal. But Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see. The U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time.
Hemos decidido responder con medidas arancelarias y no arancelarias que anunciaré.
So now we start to hear from the Mexican president and pretty much everyone else who's been hit by the Donald Trump tariff bat in the last 24 hours.
Kadoosh.
A boom. Dumb thing to do, Josh.
Yeah. Look, this is all in connection to another story which we've already alluded to. It will pop up a little bit later. Again, you said this, though, maybe not as high as we suspected. But that moment, and I mean the tariffs as well,
sure,
is certainly having a ripple effect throughout the globe.
It is such a complex thing to respond to the American government right now because, I'll be honest with you, when Donald Trump first got elected, there was a couple of things that he did that I thought, okay, well, you know what? He is working in his own people's best interests. Probably the number one thing would be the border security thing. That was a crisis that, well, to be completely honest, based on their metrics, which you can decide how much you trust those, has been, well, the number of people entering the US illegally has been dramatically reduced. Mission accomplished. Nice work. But then all this other weird stuff, picking a fight with the world and then making friends with those who are their traditional opponents, and may, to be honest, still be their opponents, but just using them for their own best interests. I'm talking about Russia, by the way. So strange. I don't know if Trump got his playbook from, I don't know, some archaic economics handbook when he was a kid and he never kind of let go of it. But this idea that tariffs are somehow this really powerful economic weapon, admittedly, getting into the US market is incredibly valuable for people. But as it has been pointed out, those costs get passed on to consumers. It's not like the people selling stuff into America go, well, I guess I'll just make 25% less profit. No, if you have a 25% tariff, they put up their prices by 25% to pay for the tariff. They might sell less of the item, but you know who's buying the item? The American people.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about a cost of living crisis. That's been a theme that has rippled throughout trending for multiple episodes. And it's seemingly when Donald Trump's rhetoric before coming into office was a big component of, you know, driving prices down, improving the economy. Is this not flying in the face of that previous promise?
I don't know. He seems to live in a bit of a fantasy land, which, of course, for opponents of Trump will not come as a shock. But in terms of what the impact of these tariffs might be, can he strong-arm these nations into doing stuff the way he wants them to? He's also said, by the way, that if they get tariffed back, then they're going to tariff again. And then
it's a tariff off.
It's a tariff off. It's a trade war. China also, too, by the way, in the crosshairs with this line of tariffs. Now, there is such a thing as well in the world, which I want you to be aware of if you're not already, called the law of unintended consequences. And this Trudeau thing is a fantastic example of that, because Trudeau's popularity in recent months in Canada has absolutely plummeted, and his Liberal Party, very, very unpopular. Pierre Poilievre, I believe his last name is the Conservative Party leader. People were saying basically a shoo-in for Prime Minister of Canada. However, in light of what Trump has been doing, the Liberal Party going back up in the polls, Poilievre's support collapsing. And, I mean, Trudeau's one of those guys that if you're not on his side of the political spectrum, people have very strong feelings against him. Everything looked to be getting to a point where he was finally going to be removed from office, but Trump's behavior, unintended consequences, might have given him a bit of a late-term revival.
Now, is this may be stating the obvious, but I just want some clarification.
Go for it.
Is this due to the fact that Trump is so aligned with conservative politics, as it were, that when he demonstrates, as has been quoted, idiot behavior, not my quote, but Justin Trudeau's, that it also has that ripple effect in other nations as well?
I would say so. I mean, people never like to be told how much naked tribalism plays a role in their decision-making. My experience is that we tend to really not have a complex base of reasons why we might decide something. We've got like a primary concern, and then we hang everything else off that tree. So if you are more of a liberal versus a conservative or whatever, people in the world of sociology, they talk about the sociology of knowledge. You tend to adopt the beliefs of people that you like and reject the beliefs of people that you don't like. It's also a reason why some people do or don't come to church, right? You meet a nice Christian. Oh, they're nice. I might do what they do. Oh, I meet a horrible Christian. Don't like them. Don't like their beliefs either. Well, same thing in the political spectrum. You see somebody doing stuff that you don't like. Oh, wait, he's branded himself as more of a right-wing conservative type. Well, I don't like right-wing conservative types. Therefore, I don't like the Canadian ones either.
Wow. It's a powerful reminder, that ripple effect, that I think America has become less predominant as this global figure, but still has a lot of sway, a lot of weight behind them, shall we say, in terms of politics, that it affects other countries as well.
So remember too, as we work throughout the day, we want to get your thoughts on things. So whether or not it's Trudeau calling somebody an idiot or any story that we covered today, remember that we do want to be hearing from you, whether you're watching or listening today.
8168 with the keyword REMA. That is how you get in touch via the text. Or, of course, if you are watching via the stream, hi to you. Thanks for, I guess, tuning on in, watching.
Yep.
By the way, just comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
Live on air and online. Trending with Andrew Curtis.
A segment that we haven't done for a while as a part of this show, but I literally stumbled upon this stat before we came into the studio, and I thought, you know what? I have a radio show. I can make sure we talk about it. Missing in action. This is where we talk about maybe a piece of news that it would be great if it was getting some kind of cut through, but unfortunately seems to have been missing from our major media outlets. Admittedly, they wouldn't have had a lot of time to respond to this news, but it has been released earlier on today, and courtesy of the IHME, which of course is the IHME. It's a health thing. They do studies on stuff. The main reason I wanted to draw your attention to it today was the fact that they are recording a 40% drop in global mortality from suicide in the last 3 decades. 40% drop around the world. 40% reduction in suicides in the last 3 decades.
Not to put you on the spot, Andrew.
Just do it. Just do it. Put me
Do
on
we
the spot.
have any indication as to the stats specific to New Zealand? Because we know that this has been a reoccurring dilemma.
Yeah, sure.
You know, something we've been grappling with for years.
Well, specifically for New Zealand on first reading, no. I can tell you that, of course, within anything like this, there are kind of ups and downs. And so we can see that East Asia recorded the largest decline of 66%, with China reporting the largest decline in the region. However, places like Central Latin America have had increases. So they've had an increase of about 39%. And even high-income countries like, say, in North America, or regions rather, a 7% increase, with the US at the top, 23% jump for females alone. So interesting to see that wealthier countries seem to be experiencing an increase in suicides, and poorer countries a reduction.
Yeah, do you have any indication as well as to why this wasn't cutting through? Because this is missing in action.
Sure.
The story was not trending, as most of the stories we talk about on the show are. Is it just due to the fact that other news stories, even the one we just talked about, has been getting a lot more play, drawing a lot more attention? Or do we just go, well, this is more for the surface level, at least positive news?
Yeah, sure.
And so it doesn't service as many clicks?
I mean, I think sometimes when news is in the abstract, it can be a little bit hard as well. I mean, you're talking about a stat across the entire world. There's certainly something to be said for, I think, what you mentioned. When something's negative, it tends to catch people's attention a lot more. Even things like, are you aware that global poverty has halved in the last 20 years?
I had no idea.
Less than 10% for the first time in human history.
Wow.
Nobody talks about that. Because partly also, I think there's a large contingent of people, and this is where I put on my anecdotal evidence, Andrew Curtis's lens of the world hat. There are a group of people out there who want to believe the world's terrible, like that everything's getting worse, like everything all the time is getting worse, and it's just not true.
Well, it's also much more powerful messaging if you are trying to make change, which we would never want to lean into. But we have to be honest and say that does happen from time to time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been mentioned before that you should never trust an organization whose future relies on the problem that they're there to solve. So, you know, for example, if you're there to solve homelessness and you say, well, homelessness has been solved, you're like, oh, wait, we're out of work. So then you start to more broadly define what homelessness means, or mental health, or all sorts of other issues like that. So nevertheless, you can find this article yourself. If you actually just search online to track it down quite easily, you can say 40% reduction in suicide, global statistics. This should come up from the IHME. And within that study, you will find that, yes, there has been a 40% in reduction of suicide worldwide in the last 30 years.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Now to New Zealand, and in fact, to One News, where Pack and Save are in deep trouble.
Yes, Pack and Save apologise after customer grilled over $1,000 grocery bill. So a woman named Tasha Williams allegedly was asked for private information by Pack and Save staff without explanation after spending $1,000 on groceries at the store.
Yeah, she said, direct quote from her, I was asked to give my details, but with no explanation for and why. And if I didn't, I was not allowed to leave, she wrote on social media. She'd claimed she'd paid by FPOS and had a receipt. I asked again why they needed my details and if they could show me the policy with the reason behind their request. She claimed that over the course of 30 minutes, she spoke to 5 different supermarket workers, including 3 supervisors, who looked through files for any mention of the policy.
Yeah, and all of this while happening, all this happened while her children were with her. She said she also felt annoyed, like she was being accused of stealing, even though obviously she had proof that she had not. What a strange response to a customer spending a large amount of money at your store.
So they eventually managed to find a spokesperson who could come up with a plausible reason for all this, and have said that under tax legislation introduced in 2023, businesses are required to collect certain details for purchases over $1,000 to ensure compliance with tax rules.
Okay.
Right. Like, I'm sure, I'm so glad they're going to crack down on international criminal syndicates by busting women spending $1,000 at Pack and Save. Like, that's how you get them, guys.
Why would she need $1,000 worth of groceries?
Exactly.
It's probably for a mob group or some
That's
sort
what
of
I
gang.
think. Yeah, yeah, exactly. She's buying sandwiches for the mongrel mob. That's what she's doing. So anyway, despite this whole statement, the woman in question claimed that she's yet to be contacted directly in the response to her complaint. So imagine it works like this. Josh and I get into a big argument, and then somebody comes out on my behalf to explain to everybody else why Josh and I were fighting, but then I never speak to him again. That's basically the strategy. And again, one of the reasons we're talking about it, in fact, the primary reason, is that this is also a very popular story in the country right now. It is the number 2 trending news story on the One News website.
Yeah, One News really finding a lot of clicks on this story. Any indication why, do you think, Andrew? In fact, if you're listening or watching right now, did you even know about this policy? Is this foreign news to you, just like us?
Yeah.
If you did, you have to get in touch.
Actually, sorry, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 8168 with the keyword Remus. Andrew's got a thought. Or, of course, you can leave a comment below if you are watching the stream.
Oh, no, I'm just very excited about that point, Josh. I think it's very well made. Yeah, if you knew about this already, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that is incredible. How
do you have that insider knowledge?
Are you the guy who's funding the mongrel mob? Is it you the whole time? That's why you're the one.
No, don't say that, because then they won't get in touch.
Yeah, keep it on the down low. That's all right.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Let's continue to look at the stories that captured the attention of New Zealand. Again, these are stories that are either popular on major news services or even popular via Google searches. And now for some weather waffle, Josh.
Yeah, weather waffle, although I'll allow this one. When it gets to a cyclone,
yeah,
I'm okay with the weather waffle.
Okay, only cyclone and above is all right with you.
Look, we see weather popping up in the trending results almost every week.
So true.
And we hardly ever hit it because, particularly myself, I'm not a fan of the weather waffle. But,
it gets the Beatty veto is what it gets.
Oh, man, it gets me riled up. But understandably, this one has been talked about quite a bit, and fair point.
Yeah, so Cyclone Alfred. Incidentally, it could not be called Cyclone Anthony. Do you know why?
No.
Because what's the Prime Minister of Australia's name?
Is that the real reason?
Apparently. Look, somebody told me, and I want to believe it's true, so I'm telling you now like it's a fact. And that's how the news works, everybody. Let's see what ABC News, or rather 9 News rather, in Australia had to say about Cyclone Alfred.
Good evening. Tropical Cyclone Alfred is now officially on a collision course with the southeast, placing millions of Queenslanders in his menacing path. The first official cyclone warning has just been issued, advising of destructive wind gusts and potentially historic rain totals when it slams into our coastline. We have our team of reporters standing by to bring you the very latest and explain.
Oh, can we just take a moment to acknowledge the time-honoured tradition of some poor chump being put out in a storm for the sake of a news bulletin? Look at these poor suckers.
At least they're not actually being hit by the storm, it seems, as of yet.
Okay, but looking at the screen right now, and admittedly, this is why you need to join us, because we're looking at this weather report coming through from 9 News Australia. Which of these 4 looks like they're really prepared to take a pounding from the storm? I think 2 out of 4. Middle guy, but also lady on the left, Redcliffe. I believe she's in Redcliffe, as opposed to that being her name. Guy with the white shirt in Manly, no chance. He's not seeing any rain. The girl in the green in Zilmere, she looks like she's off for a coffee after this cross to the studio. But
she's standing in front of a green screen.
100%. 100%. She has not been outside in months.
Exactly what we're facing. Claire Todd-Hunter begins our special cyclone coverage.
After waiting for hours, a panicked scurry for sandbags.
Ladies first, please. Ladies first.
Tens of thousands collected from Brisbane depots within hours in preparation for what's to come. The latest modelling shows Cyclone Alfred slamming into the coastline between Noosa and Brisbane, the most densely populated part of the state, as a Category 2 system, hitting late Thursday night, possibly Friday morning.
It is a really rare event for southeast Queensland, but it is serious and it is happening, and we want Queenslanders to be prepared.
Isolated falls of up to 700 millimetres across 3 days are possible, combining with a tidal surge, only adding to the problems.
Where we will see this impact at its greatest is on the highest tide for the day.
Councils are preparing for major flooding. On the Gold Coast, their worst case scenario modelling leaves more than 6,000 homes flooded.
Until the cyclone hits and we know where it crosses, there's nothing that's concrete.
Low-lying